Hi there, my name is Arthur from the Idea Lab. Welcome to the channel. In this video, let's look at how farmers in Zimbabwe make between $8,000 and $17,000 pen fattening cattle for the beef market. So, pen fattening, also known as feedlot finishing, is a method of intensively feeding cattle to increase their weight and improve the quality of the meat. So this occurs between a period of 60 to 120 days, but in most cases just 60 to 90 days will do it. So duration depends on the age of the cattle, the induction weight, the breed, the sex and genetic makeup of the cattle, among other things. Pen fattening is typically done in a confined space such as a pen, which is also equals to zero grazing. Sometimes you hear it interchangeably mentioned as zero grazing, so just basically the same concept that focuses on intensive feeding of cattle in confined spaces. So the opportunity here is to buy low, meaning buying the cattle at a lower price and then adding value to it through pen fattening and then selling at a higher price. So there's consistently high demand for beef in Zimbabwe despite the market price fluctuations that happens throughout the year. So here's the operation structure of this business. So there's a technical side and a business side. So sometimes these two overlaps in some cases. So the technical side, which can also be viewed through the lenses of good agronomical practices, includes the breed that you use in the business, the induction, which is the weighing that happens when the cattle come in, and the grouping, the pens themselves, the dosing, the veterinary care, the diet, and the food conversion ratio, FCR, and the record keeping. There's also the business side, which represents the market, the grading of the meat, the budgets that needs to be done. Also, again, the FCR, the relationships with abattoirs, which is your market, and off-takers, and also the target weight. So there are some very common industry terms and terminology that applies to pen fattening, which is important for you to be aware of, as you just investigate the business, getting to know more about it, or actually practicing. So you have got what is called a steer, the male cattle that has been castrated. So castration prevents the steer from developing certain male characteristics, making them more docile. So steers are typically raised for beef production. So they are very common or popular in pen fattening. So you've got the calf, which is a young cow or bull, which is an offspring. So you've got a heifer, which is a young cattle, which is female, that is not yet calved or given birth to a calf. So heifers are often raised for breeding or beef production. So you've got a weaner as well, a young calf that has been recently weaned from its mother. So you've got induction, which is the initial period, running between 7 to 10 days when the cattle are introduced to the feedlot environment and adjusted to a high level or high energy diet. So this is a critical phase that sets the stage for optimal weight gain and meat quality. So basically what this means is that when you buy your cattle for pen fattening from one area in the country, from one location, you bring them to your pens, and then you have got that period of induction, which is 7 to 10 days when all these things happen. So you have got the feedlot itself, which is basically a confined area where cattle are fed intensively. So this is what is called, why it's also called feedlot, business or pen fattening. They're basically referring to the same thing, a pen or a feedlot. Okay, let's look at the steps or the stages in the business model. First, you've got the selection of cattle, where young steers or heifers are selected based on their genetic potential for growth and meat quality. You are looking for the best meat quality. Whether the farmer goes with the steers, heifers, or both is informed by space and business goals and objectives. And then you've got the confinement stage, when you bring the cattle in. The selected cattle are confined to pens or feedlots. So this intensive feeding, where the cattle are fed a carefully formulated diet that is rich in energy and protein. This diet is typically composed of grains like corn or sorghum, along with protein supplements and roughage. Then there's a period of weight gain, which actually happens on a daily basis once the feeding begins, once the high energy diet begins. So the goal is to maximize weight gain and improve the mumbling of the meat. Mumbling refers to the intramuscular fat that gives beef its flavor and tenderness. So you then come to the stage of sale or slaughter. Once the cattle reach the desired weight and level of finish, they are sold for slaughter at a profit. So that's the business model. Okay, let's look at the market. So farmers in this industry are generally price takers. The price is set by the buyers themselves. You have got the abattoirs, which are the buyers. They are available regionally in Zimbabwe, and there are many of them around the country. There's actually an association of abattoirs where you can find a complete directory of where they are available in your region or in your location. So you've got also what are known as off-takers. These are also part of the market alongside the abattoirs. These are companies or individuals who purchase fattened cattle from farmers or feedlot operators. They play a crucial role in the livestock industry by providing a market for the finished animals. So what it means that you have got these two options. You can take to the abattoirs, or you can sell the cattle, the fattened cattle, the finished cattle, to the off-takers. So you can also take them to the auctions. These are other places where you can offload your fattened cattle at a profit. So the market also has gluts that occur, resulting in price drops. Price is not the same throughout the year. There are times of the year which I'll touch on, which are more profitable than the other when selling your fattened or your finished cattle. So you have to be careful at which point of time are you targeting to go out to the market. So good prices are between the months of September and February. December has traditionally been targeted as a peak price window for getting the best price. But now, according to some abattoirs, there's been a flooding that occurs in the market because many people have become aware of this. Many pen fattening businesses have become aware of this, so they tend to target this December market, which then floods the market, at least at some abattoirs, resulting in price dips. So prices are the lowest outside of September and February due to the rainy season boost on open grazing. So when you're targeting the best price, you're going to be targeting September and February, and December being the peak of the price generally. But again, as mentioned, this has been changing in recent years due to the flooding that occurs in the market. Okay, let's look at the startup requirements and the options are available. You need a feedlot or the pens. These will have the full gear, for example, the drinking and the feeding troughs. There's a proper way of locating these within your feedlot. For example, your feeding trough should not be next to the to the drinking troughs, because the cattle are supposed to walk and exercise during the period of where they eat and then they drink. So what happens when the head eats? The next thing is that it's going to need to drink. So they're supposed to walk a distance as part of the exercise required. So there's actually a recommended plan for setting up your feedlot. So you would need also the feed. This can be store bought or pre-mixed or even homemade mix. So you find that as you scale, it's going to become cheaper for you to use homemade mix compared to the store bought pre-mixed feed. The store-bought feed is easier because it's already set up. The actual composition is put together. The recipe is there already in the feed. So what you basically do is to buy and go and feed. But if it's homemade, then you have to maintain the right proportions and the right mixtures and follow a particular recipe. So you also need, of course, a head or the animals themselves. So these are typically your large framed breeds, such as the Boran and the Brahman. And one thing to note here is that all cattle can be fattened. Okay, all cattle can be fattened, but what matters is what gives you which type of cattle, how old is it, which breed is it, that is going to give you the best finishing. Remember, the goal is to increase the weight of the cattle so that you can fetch the maximum price at the abattoir. So no minimum size of head is required for this business, but head size affects profitability and continuity. For example, it doesn't make sense to start with one head, because you're going to get, as you're going to see when we look at the numbers, you're going to get an X amount as profit, but then the next question is, what are you going to do with it? You can enjoy that profit there and then, and that's it. But from a business perspective, there's a minimum size that you need to begin with for you to enjoy the economies of scale, as well as to enjoy continuity of the business. And then you also have got the market. which is a requirement when you start this business. But already, as mentioned, you have got your market, which are the abattoirs and the off-takers and the auction. So you just need to have done your research to say, okay, where am I going to take my my finished product when it's ready, which is your cattle when it has been fattened. So, but the market is basically available and ready. Okay, here are the common problems associated with this business, problems and risks. So you've got diseases. These are a main issue here. You've got the tick-borne diseases and other diseases. So at induction, you're going to have to deal with this by dosing. You're going to have to install and take biosecurity measures. Things like dipping are also important. There are programs and protocols to follow to deal with these diseases, because if they are not attended to, they've got an impact which we'll later look at when you go to market. So stock theft is a problem. We know this is in Zimbabwe. These are examples here from the news of people that have been caught, or criminals that have been caught trying to would have actually succeeded in taking down beasts and causing farmers losses. So you need to obviously enhance your security and work with law enforcement agencies. So you've also got the acts of God. Here you're looking at drought and floods and heat waves. So these are natural events that are beyond human control that can actually affect your business. There's also another risk of missing the best-selling window for a variety of reasons. Once you miss this window, it means that you're going to get low prices. If you're going to keep your head and not sell it and wait for the next best window, it also means that you're going to increase your cost, because you need to keep the beast fed, you need to keep your head fed. So this is a problem that can occur for any reason, really. You can miss the best-selling window. So you've got also carcass condemnation at the abattoir. This is due to diseases that are not detected at induction and not treated. So this can result in a complete loss once your carcass has been condemned at the abattoir. At the abattoirs, there are government inspectors that inspect the carcasses to make sure that they don't have disease. So you can easily get your carcass condemned. So carcass condemnation is not common to farmers that practice this particular success method or success formula that I'll talk about next in this business. So putting everything together, here's the success ingredients for this business, and I would like to summarize this by using this success formula, which is success equals to efficient production factors plus good agricultural practices plus a favorable market. So we're going to look at each of these and see what actually goes into it. So you've got cattle characteristics. This is encompassed in the efficient production factors. So you've got the maturity type, you've got the early maturity versus late maturity of cattle. So you have to be careful about which type of cattle you're going to go for. So this is determined by the age, is determined by the breed itself as well. So the breed is important. You've got different breeds that have got varying growth rates and feed efficiency. So good food convention is a major consideration. There are breeds that are good at this, also combined with the age of the herd that you're using. So a good food convention ratio is, for example, 6 kgs of feed converting to 1 kg of meat. So this impacts, how much feed you're going to put and the cost of feed overall and how long it's going to take you. So average daily gain, or ADG, of say 2 kg per animal per day is considered good. So as you are feeding, the animal is gaining weight on a daily basis. So you have got a starting weight when you bring the cattle into the feedlot, and you have got an exit or a finishing weight. So what happens is that every day when you start intensive feeding, the cattle or the herd should gain a particular amount of weight in order for you to catch your target at the end of the 90 days or the 60 days. So this is very important. So that conversion matters. If the conversion is slow or the conversion is poor, it means by the end of 60 days or 90 days, you're not going to have the correct weight that you want to take to market, which is profitable. And that just impacts your business model in that sense. So it's very important. This is the fine grain detail that goes into pen fattening, which you will need to know, and you obviously gain and improve and become more knowledgeable about with time, the more you do it. So as mentioned, apart from the breed, the initial weight matters. So the starting weight of the cattle, which you are going to measure at induction, will influence the time required to reach market weight at the finishing point after 60 or 90 days. So whether you're going to use the steers or heifers or both, it will depend on you and your goals and what is your intended outcome or the goals of your business. So young animals obviously perform better. They're still growing, so they're going to put on weight quicker, than the older used animals. So it's important where you source your animals from, how old they are, because all this feeds into the entire business model and the amount of time you will require, to get the cattle fattened. So the head size also matters. The bigger the head, the better. It means then you've got continuity. It also means that you've got a higher profit returns because you are selling a big head per cycle at a time, which multiply that by the profit per head, which you're going to look at. So all these factors feed into the efficient production factors, which are part of the success equation. Okay, so the next one is GAP, which is the good agricultural practices. Here we're talking about the veterinary side of the business. You're talking about all the dosing that needs to be done, the dipping that needs to be done, the design of your feedlot, how you're going to manage disease. That's part of the GAP, which is part of the equation for success. So you really need to take care of the GAP side of things in addition to efficient production factors in order for you to be successful. But there's one more aspect of this equation, which is the market. So this has to do with targeting the best selling window, the targeted sale mass already calculated and known. You also have to have a targeted selling grade. I'll look at the grades shortly, which grades we have in this industry, and you also have to look at the market price for that grade. You also have to look at the market access. How far are you from the abattoirs? Do you have any off-takers that are going to take your finished cattle for the market? That's the success equation, the success ingredients. Okay, let's look at the numbers. So in looking at the numbers, we also need to look at some assumptions. We're going to assume that there's no mortality. We're also going to assume that you're going to feed this head for 90 days. So that will be 90 days of pen fattening or in high energy diet. We're also going to assume that you're going to start with a young steer cattle that are young, and you're going to be targeting the super grade selling price. So pay very close attention to the success formula, because this matters when targeting the super grade selling price. So we are also going to exclude infrastructure or setup costs and labor, which are obviously costs that you incur. These are, for example, capital expenditure costs, where you set up your feedlot and then you're going to run through cycles with different heads of cattle. So this is excluded in this particular calculation. But again, when setting up a feedlot, depending on where you are doing it, if you're doing it from your rural home, for example, many farmers start very cheaply with logs to create the pen or the feedlot. And then let's look at the grade prices. This is assuming also a period when you get the most favorable prices, as mentioned, which is between September and February, with December getting to the peak. So you have got the manufacturing grade. This is the low grade. This is not expected of a pen fattening business because if you're following the success formula, there's no way you're going to come out with a manufacturing grade. It's a very low grade, and most farmers who are in this business, they don't actually produce this type of grade. So remember, this video is about how farmers are making between $8,000 and $17,000. So there is no room for the manufacturing grade, which is the lowest grade when pen fattening. So the next grade is the economy, which is the one that normally goes for $3.40 per kg during that window that I talked about. Then next is the commercial, which is better than economy. This one sells for $3.50 thereabouts per kg. Then you've got the choice grade, which sells for $3.70. So we are climbing up the quality of grade here. Then you have got the super, which is $4.20. This can go up to about $5.20 during best times, for example, in December, barring all the market glut that can occur or that has been occurring in recent times due to a flooding of the market, as most farmers are targeting that December period. They are chasing this amount. They are chasing the $4.20. They are chasing the $5.20 of the super grade. So just be aware of that concerning this selling windows. So let's look at the estimated cost breakdown per animal. I've come across, people just show one side of it, which is how much you're going to make. The reason why I'm including this cost is because I hardly see it mentioned. So, I set out to actually provide this cost breakdown. This is the general cost breakdown. There may be other finer costs in there, but generally this is what you're going to spend or that you're going to encounter in as far as your cost is concerned. So we are going to look at the cost, and then we look at the revenue and see what our gross profit is going to be. The purchase price is one of the highest costs that you will have in this business. I'm looking here at about $400. And again, I need to mention that this varies depending on a number of factors: the breed you are buying, the age, as well as just your negotiation skills. This is important. So some farmers will get for about $300. It can go up to as much as $500 depending on all these factors. The most important here is negotiation skills because it matters really. So I'm putting this at $400. And then you've got the feed, which is going to be $250, but this can be reduced via in-house feed production at scale. But again, you need to have the knowledge of doing it. You need to probably going to hire an expert to mix that for you, but there are recipes to be followed. But this is important because it affects how much weight the cattle will gain at the end of the fattening phase, which is 90 days. So apart from that, this $250 is based on the premixes that you buy from the store. This is store-bought feed that is already a high energy diet prepared just to fatten cattle. So that's the easiest way you can do it, apart from the homemade mix. So you've got the healthcare as well at $5. This is the cheapest in the cost structure here because this includes simple things like doses, the cattle dipping, and things like that, usually done by the vet. So this is animal. So you've got transport as well. I'm putting it here at $100. I've got $100 for incoming and outgoing. So incoming when you're bringing in the cattle where you've bought it from, and the outgoing when you're taking it to the abattoir, assuming that you are going to offload the fattened or the finished animals at the abattoir. However, if you've got off takers that are coming, this number may just then fall away, but I'm leaving it at $100, which is $50 coming in and $50 going out. So buying closer to you also eliminates or reduces this cost. However, this is a strategy that the business has to make in terms of your location. Sometimes it's possible to move cattle from one part of the country to the other, but in many cases it's difficult because of regulation due to diseases, especially if there's been an outbreak. So in Zimbabwe, you've got zones that are regulated differently. There are places where you can buy from and move from, and there are places that you cannot buy from and move into, and things like that. So movement clearance is also included here, which is police and vet. I'm putting it about $10. So you need to have the certifications done for you to be able to move your cattle. This is why you find that when you're traveling on the highway, you're going to see any vehicle that is carrying cattle, it is parked on the side, with the police doing some verifications and things like that. So it's important, and many farmers support this because it controls disease. It also controls the problem of cattle theft, which you talked about earlier as a risk in this business. So you have also got the slaughter fee of $45, and this is paid at the abattoir. Different abattoirs charges differently. So you can pay $40 in some places, you can pay $45 in some places, you can pay $50. So I chose the middle of the road here, which is about $45. So the total cost per animal is going to be $810. So as you can see, these numbers quickly add up in terms of cost. So the business is going to take $810 per animal in costs. So you have to play the game very, very carefully because these are quite a huge amount to per animal, and you have to make a profit out of it. So here's our revenue target. We are targeting super grade meat quality as mentioned in the assumptions. This is going to be sold at $4.20 per kg. Now, this is wholesale price. When you're in this business, we work with wholesale price and not retail. Our focus is on the $4.20, which is the wholesale price. So the average carcass weight is going to be approximately 250 kgs. This is what we are working with and looking at. So revenue per animal is then going to be 250 kgs times $4.20 of our super grade per kg, which is going to give us $1,050. But there's a little and nice additional revenue which is going to come from the insides or the offals. Here you're going to be selling the head separately, the trotter separately, the liver, the kidneys. All these are listed down when you go to the abattoir, and they're weighed, and then a price tag is attached to each of them. So this usually is between $90 and $150, but I'm going again to pick middle of the road, which is $100. So you are going to make an additional $100 from the offals. So you add that to the $1,050, it's going to give us then $1,150 in total revenue per animal. Now let's shift gears and look at the gross profit. Now that we have got the revenue per animal, now we are basically going to take our revenue, which is $1,150, and subtract the $810, which is the cost that we're going to incur on the animal, which is going to give us $350 profit per animal. So this is where the minimum head plays a very, very important role. You're gonna have to find an optimized number of animals that you're going to be putting into the feedlot. This is because if you're going to go with only one animal, it's going to make you $340, and then the question is going to be asked, what then do you do next? What are you going to do after that with the $340? Maybe you want to do it once with one animal and enjoy the $350, but there's no continuity, there's no business there. Again, the minimum head usually advised here is 25 to 50. So you're going to have 25 animals going to the abattoir, which is going to give us then 25 times $340, and that's $8,500 per cycle. So if you're going to do this twice in that favorable window of selling price in between September and February, you're going to be selling 50 cattle, and then this is going to give you $17,000. So this is how farmers make between $8,000 and $17,000 pen fattening. So from these numbers, for you to make $8,500 in gross profit, you're going to need $20,250 for a head of 25 upfront. For you to make $17,000 in gross profit in the 2 cycles, you will need $40,500 for a head of 50. So this is clearly a capital-intensive business. And 50, it means you're going to spend a lot of money in different things. It also means a suitable feedlot that has to be constructed. So this justifies what you hear in discussions that pen fattening is a capital-intensive business. This is what we see from the numbers. And here our gross profit margin is about 29.57%, which is quite good for the industry by industry standards, but clearly compared to other industries, there's little room for mistakes in this business, because you can easily wipe out that gross profit margin. As you can see, it's only 30% at most, and can be as low as 10% or somewhere in the middle. So anything can happen. You just have to be on top of the game. You have to keep in mind that success formula, because it helps and safeguards against some of these risks. It's a high risk business, if I should say it that way, because there are things like diseases, there are things like the acts of nature that can disrupt the business and affect how it goes. But when it's profitable, it's profitable. That's why many people are interested in doing it. But as you get in, just be aware that you just have to know your game. It's a business with little room for mistakes. Thanks for watching. Hope to talk to you again soon in the next one.